Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I am your host, Larry the Chupacabra, and today we've got more Nosgoth action. Doing a little play-by-play and showing off the Hunter class, which has got an automatic crossbow, and our goal is to just single-target shoot stuff like this tyrant that's just chillaxing on the rooftops in the distance. And the difference between the Hunter and the Alchemist is the Hunter has some AoE damage, but he's sort of in the middle between the Alchemist and the Scout class in that he kind of does burst damage and kind of does a lot of rapid-fire single-target damage. Especially to their heads and their faces with that explosive shot. Really good for doing some wideband area of effect damage and making them dead. Especially when you're fighting a group of tyrants. The other thing that's really nice about the class, even though I missed the bolo shot that you saw there with me throwing that rope, is the Hunter class can use their bolo and temporarily disable the Hunter, or not the Hunters, the Vampire's ability to use their claws and try to gut ya. I'm told if you have delicious red water inside of your body, then that tends to be a plus. And as you can see, I'm doing a lot more single target damage than I was with the Alchemist, like right off the bat. Especially with Tyrants, because a group of 3 Tyrants or 2 or 3 Tyrants can be a pain in the butt, because they can really stun lock the entire human group with just a couple of those ground pounds like what you saw right there. Really big pain in the butt, so I don't really feel too bad that they aren't quite as coordinated as I've seen other vampire groups. And you don't really need to be, you know, for say, in the same, like, party together or necessarily know one another, but it certainly helps if you attack roughly in unison. Because once the enemy team kind of scatters the enemy human team, then it becomes really easy for the vampires to pick them off one by one, just because the vampires really deadly and really murdery in close quarters. Now I'm going to try and stop this Reaver from feeding, because that's the best time to try and attack them. But I think he got around the corner over there into that far courtyard before I could run back into him. And he gets away. He's actually going to jump on me right here. Yeah, there we go. We're totally not friends. He likes my spleen. I think it tastes like cornbread muffins with just a hint of, I don't know, roast beef. But good news, when in doubt, arrows to the face. Makes people very dead. Wouldn't you know? So one of the things that you really have to figure out in this game is exactly when you want to reload. Because you have very limited resources as humans. Whereas the vampires' limited resource is just their ability to take damage. Because vampires can only regen little of their health if they've been beat up outside of combat before they have to just eat somebody. So right now we're just trying to wait and see who's going to get jumped in this courtyard first. Really, you gotta figure out who's gonna get attacked by the Reaver and try to blow chunks out of him as quickly as possible. But they're kinda taking their time, and one of them has got it out for me, and they're just waiting for me to pop my head out of this building. And they're gonna touch my jibs. Oh, there it is. There's Mr. Tyrant. And this is where stun locking becomes a huge annoyance, and then I finally get my first death. Kind of a pain in the butt. So this is the situation where once 1 or 2 humans is dead and you haven't eliminated any of the other vampires, then you start to get picked off relatively quickly. It's tricky trying to decide if you want to run back to the group or if you want to stay where you spawn and hope that the rest of the team joins back up with you. In this particular case, I wasn't able to coordinate back with the team, and I got picked off before I could reach them by a tag team of Reaver and Tyrant. Good news. The Reaver's bomb is just the, the toxic mist that kind of just blots out your field of vision. So, that's nice, because those poison bombs are a pain in the butt. So currently we're going to try and hold out in the back courtyard. Can sometimes be a decent place to set up shop. As you can see, it's kind of hard for the tyrants to get in here and make a mess because they need time to activate their abilities. But this is the perfect spot for Reavers to try and murder our faces. Which looks like, yep, there's one, and then one should be jumping down on me. If I don't get my bolo off at the right time. Well, I've actually got 2 Reavers now, so we're probably boned. We can't get a beat on one of them, which I'm having a little trouble figuring out who's who, then we're gonna get picked off pretty quickly and eliminated. Like right here with the Reaver slashes. There's a situation where the AI of the game decided that, rather than kind of splitting us up in different spawn points, we all ended up spawning here in the back corner near the burning wreckage of what was once homes or something. And this is not a terrible place to hold up. It certainly gives you a great vantage point to both charge up your tyrant charge and also see people coming, which is one of the pluses. Also, if you're an alchemist, one of the best strategies you've got of killing a vampire, if you're pretty sure you're gonna die, is backing into a corner and throwing down your fire, and the vampire can either delay the inevitable, or he can run in and try and kill you before the fire kills them. Usually it's one of those mutually assured destruction kind of situations. So now, this is one of the troubles in this game, is one person tries to make a dash for the healing station, thinking that there's a lull in the action, and then they get, picked off. And then we're suddenly a man down with 3 or 4 very alive vampires trying to make us inside out. And that was actually a pretty good strategy if you're ever playing a vampire and you've been hit with a bolo, is to just run around like a turkey with your head cut off, or a chicken with your head cut off, just doing ring around the rosy of one of the hunters, so that you can try to bide your time and get that bolo off of you before they manage to plug you full of more spines than a porcupine. I know it's worked pretty well for me, but it depends. Some people's reaction is a little better than others for that sort of a thing. Alternatively, you could just do like I try to do a couple of times and just dodge roll backwards so that you can get a line of sight on them. And of course, it's always kind of a frustrating feeling when you've just managed to help kill 2 or 3 vampires and then you get just clipped by that one remaining vampire and die. But it's okay, because revenge and karma is immediate and very swift. It's actually getting pretty close down here at the end of the first phase, with our team as humans. Especially when I haven't unlocked any of the really fancy stuff for any of these characters at the time of doing some background recording. That's something you gotta be careful of right there when you're playing the Reaver, is if I can see your head, I can throw a bolo on you, and then you are going to end up very, very dead. Like right now. When he decided, oh, maybe not. But good news, I can just throw a bolo and prevent him from feeding correctly. And barely, out of sheer luck, dodging his slash and dash, his little leap strike ability. Typically, you'd want to play with sound. Sound is a really important thing to pay attention to in Nosgoth, because everything has its own sort of sound when someone's nearby. If a deceiver is invisible nearby, you can hear their footsteps if you listen. And then the Reavers, when they're about to perform their leap strike ability, have a growling sound when they're kind of waiting to pounce on the top of a building. And that tyrant just got unlucky to walk right in front of me right as I was trying to shoot his friend off the roof. Yeah, you're not so pouncy now, are you, buddy? Not with bullets and arrows in your face. Alrighty, so the first round goes to the humans. And, didn't do too bad. Died a bit more than I wanted to. But, good news is I have my buddy Emo here, and he's pretty good at throwing down defensive fire. He kept us alive in a lot of hairy situations. So, for the vampires, I tend to like trying out the Deceiver at the start of different matches. Sometimes they're not really prepared, or they don't really know how to handle somebody playing a Deceiver, and it can be a really dangerous pick on the part of the vampires. And sometimes, doesn't matter how clever you think you are, they immediately know who you are and where you came from and try to shoot you in the teeth. Kinda awkward. I mean, I just wanted to have a pleasant conversation over a teacup full of human viscera and blood. I didn't think that was too much to ask, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a Chupacabra that gnaws on cheap skulls, so we gotta find him first, that's the trick, and they're actually holed up in that, like, market section where we ended our match. So as they're shooting at me, I've just activated my right mouse button ability, which enables me to turn into a clone of one of them. I think it's chosen at random. It also might be whoever you have moused over last. And I managed to get into their mix without anybody being the wiser. I'll actually try to zing this guy with my backstab, which you'd think with a, a gigantic ethereal blade, you would just be able to hit him wherever. And now the Prophet's going to use one of his abilities to kind of mind control me a little bit and prevent me from slashing open his throat. Lets him kill me. But the backstabs don't do quite as much damage, and in fact I kind of liked the other ability that the Deceivers get, where you can get like this poopy touch ability where your hand glows all browny green, and then everybody gets this tainted damage over time effect on them. Kinda like it. So I've swapped to Reaver. I wasn't really feeling the Deceiver for this match. I like the ability to have a little bit more dedicated getaway, using this little evasion ability that makes me glow all blue and be unshootable. And so now we get to see where you can really use tactics to your benefit in this game. In order to get people to scatter and to finish off that low guy there, I used a choking mist, sort of like damage over time bomb. Looks like I threw a Tupperware full of baby diarrhea all over the place, and it just annihilates people's health if they stand in it, and also for a little bit after they're out of it. So that's kind of handy. And it's really nice because if you throw the choking haze bomb into the middle of a group, then you'll make sure that everyone scatters. If you see someone do that and their team scatters, that's the perfect time to engage on them and try and get a kill. Or at the very least, get them real low so that the second engage will definitely kill at least one or two of them. Really handy, actually. I think the other class of vampire that gets a firebomb is the Sentinel, that flying guy. Haven't unlocked him, don't really know what he does per se right now, but he looks pretty cool, and they're a pain in the butt to deal with if they're, pretty good at what they do. So right now I'm just going to try and see if I can't pounce on a straggler. They're kind of running around through these buildings right now, and they're also a little set up here in the back, which can make it difficult in an open area to get any kills off, because they'll obviously see me coming, like right now. Didn't manage to get the killing blow off. That's okay, we're coming for you, Prophet. We're gonna get you. So the Prophet here, the guy wearing the animal skull, Prophets are an interesting subclass in the game. They're kind of like a pseudo life-stealing, life-giving medic, where they can link themselves with some sort of weird soul bond ability and help keep somebody extra healed. And then they can transfuse people so that they just get a little healed at the expense of the Prophet's health. The Prophets themselves can get their health back through damage and a couple of other abilities. And then, of course, really handy because they can do that green glowy shot thing that kind of looks like spectral jizzle, that keeps you from attacking people. Kind of a pain in the tuchus. So if you want to kill somebody in a team fight and they've got a pretty good prophet, you're going to want to try and make sure the prophet goes down first. Because otherwise you're going to end up expending a lot of your own health and resources trying to murder someone, only to have the prophet keep them alive narrowly. Sort of like right here, we didn't manage to kill him and he managed to pick us off at the end. That's a good indication if you're still playing in the noob leagues of Nosgoth, which I think we weren't when this came out. I think we had just been testing out the new Q system, which was a little bit better at pairing people in a timely fashion and of similar skill levels. But if you see somebody with the Prophet or another fancy-looking class unlocked, there's only 2 classes of each race that you can unlock, usually an indication that they've played a fair amount of the game already and they know what they're doing. Might want to pick them off first. So I'm just going to jump in here to the fray, and the alchemist is going to try to avoid me murdering them by throwing down their light bomb. Light bomb, everybody who's in the vicinity who's a vampire is going to have a lot of trouble seeing what's going on during the duration, and they can also get a light bomb that doesn't blind, but instead does a bit of instant damage and a little bit of burning damage over time. And it gets really annoying if you're in an area where they can run a couple different directions. Because then you can't see them to murder them. It's so nasty. I was going to try and see if Black Widow wasn't going to run back around the corner so I could nail him. I'm not sure if he's too clever for that, or if he's just like, there's like 3 vampires in there. No, it's not a thing. And again, love the choking haze bombs. Those are one of my favorites. Really great for making people scatter, but the one thing I've needed to learn about playing a Reaver is patience. Because right here, immediately had to dodge out of there next to Emo, who's also playing a Reaver with Shadow Step, because I got a little too excited and nearly got murdered. And right here, I'm going to see if I can't finish off the Prophet, but unfortunately for me, I didn't see his buddy who was hanging out in the building next to him. And also you get to see a little bit of the dismemberment animations that they've got in the game. If you get a critical strike on a part of their body, they can explode in a gout of gore out my head hole. Well, that was a nice touch, actually. And I think you can crit people if you shoot them in the head. It's not quite as ridiculous as headshotting in most first-person shooters, but I do think you get a little bit of a bonus as an archer, or such, if you shoot them in the head. Or if you just use the bullets. So right now, I'm going to try out the Tyrant. Tyrant can be a little tricky to play. The whole goal of the Tyrant is sort of be a vampiric initiator that can go into survival mode. And the other trouble is that you're a really big target, and I got turned into a cloud of red mist. So a little tricky. But the Tyrant's goal is to run in there, initiate, take some of the fire, take some of the cooldowns from the humans, and then get out after, putting down a stun. Using their F ability, which is like Enrage and Ignore Pain, so it substantially reduces all the damage you take, and then just go in and do it again after you've regenerated a bit. Sometimes it works out. I did really well as the Tyrant when I first started playing. The first couple of matches I ever played in Nosgoth, I really enjoyed the Tyrant. But after those first 2, I don't know if I'm doing something different, but I've just never... I've got bad aim with the charge, and I've just been having no end of difficulty trying to figure him out. I'm probably not going to do too much with the Tyrant until I've gotten some of his unlocks that makes him absolutely redonkulous. Like a big fancy leap ability and an enrage ability that just makes you do more damage the less health you've got. But I think the next video I'll probably put out will showcase some of the ridiculousness that is the Deceiver. And even though the game says that the Deceiver is weaker than its compatriots, that's only health-wise. He does a redonkulous amount of damage, and he's kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. Just because, invisibility, and if you've ever played TF2, annoying just like the spy in TF2. So we're going to finish this match off as the Reaver. I really enjoy playing me some of the Reaver. Because when in doubt, the Reaver has got some really good escapes. They're fast, they don't do as much damage, but they make up for it in sheer mobility. Especially when they can just use their pounce ability to just tear into people. And I'm going to try and steal a body here, and this doesn't always work. And initially I was pretty bad at it, because I didn't take them far enough or into a smart enough spot, and I end up either getting killed or losing my meals. But that's one thing I definitely need to work on personally, is remembering to steal bodies that I just killed, rather than letting them go. Because it can be tremendously helpful to just grab somebody's buddy, have a little snack up on a rafter or something, and then go back to fighting. That's really a key to being a good murdery vampire. But we didn't do too bad. We ended up winning overall by like 3 points. And yeah, it was a good match. I liked that. So anyway, thank you for joining me, everybody, for another round of Nosgoth. We're trying to showcase different classes and different mechanics and kits and loadouts and stuff for Nosgoth as we play through it. I've been having a lot of fun with this game, so hope you enjoyed, and until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been your host, Larry the Chupacabra, and have a good one. Toodaloo, everybody.